I'm in. Thank you.
All right. We'll start then. Bismillah. We'll start, inshallah. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Please.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I invite everyone for this session of Smart Talks to 2020, where this is a series of interactive live webinars on different topics by experts around the world. And today we have the topic Islamic Perspective of Leadership and Motivation by Professor Khaliq Ahmed Mohamed. But I would also introduce Mr. Faizi Syed Ahmed. Mr. Faizi Syed Ahmed is the founding partner and the head of a corporate at Al Hashmi Law, Oman, and advises in various areas, including general corporate, mining, M&A, employment, like you can name it, he's into it. And he has several years of work experience in the leading names, like in India, in Malaysia, and Oman. And he's also on the board of group of companies based in UAE and on senior advisory panels of some non-government organization and commercial bodies in India. So we have real knowledgeable people here today. So we look forward to really getting some knowledge today out here. So I'll pass it on to Mr. Faizi Syed Ahmed. Please go ahead, sir, and introduce your your professor. Mr. Faizi is ex-student of Professor Khaliq. So it's a big honor for him as well. So please proceed, Mr. Faizi. Mr. Faizi,
I think no need for going that kind of introduction. Just go briefly. I can proceed without that. No problem.
Briefly, but I'm having problem with Mr. Faizi. Is Mr. Faizi around?
I think I can see his picture, but either his system is not supporting him or he is maybe somewhere
I think
stuck.
Yeah, he's
okay.
Stuck. You're stuck.
Let me start. Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And good evening to all of you. I can see there are a good number of participants, about 96 now already there. So the topic today you have given, actually, I love to have the discussion on this topic.
Professor is back online. Can we ask Mr. Faizi to just have some little words because he wanted to speak about you? Mr. Faizi, I finished the introduction.
Assalamu alaikum. Am I audible?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes. Okay, fine. Sorry. I think I had some network issues earlier, suddenly. And I wanted to give a brief introduction about Dr. Khaliq sir. If you can allow me, please.
My pleasure, but be brief, really.
Already announced about you introducing Professor Khaliq. Please go ahead.
Okay, very fine. See, my name is Faizi Syed Ahmed. I'm a corporate lawyer based here in Muscat. And I'm so excited to see Professor Khaliq Saab that he has agreed to speak to us today. As a matter of fact, I have studied under him at the International Islamic University of Malaysia. And he was the top of my favorite lecturers. And also not only me, but many other fellow students also just like me. And, none of his students would afford to miss any of his lectures. And sometimes we would reschedule our own programs to be able to listen to him. One of the best things about him, that apart from many other great things, is that he would, he would teach modern management techniques and relate those to the Islamic perspective. And he will relate some incident or some kind of a saying from the Prophet Muhammad or one of the Sahabas or from the Khalifas that will make sense to govern the modern management as per the Islamic teachings. And I used to tell him always that whenever we attend his class, our Iman refreshes and rejuvenates every time we attend his lecture. I know that he has taught and guided many students who are now, mashallah, well-known professionals across the world. And I'm thankful to Allah that we have professors like him. And alhamdulillah, that we pray to Allah to bless him and preserve him and continue guiding so that he can continue guiding more and more people, especially the youngsters across the world. Okay, now please. I hope I wasn't
okay, Brother Fauzi, thank you very much, the organizers. Again, I begin with Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And a very good evening from Malaysia. Culturally, And I would say in terms of the weather, I think in the Middle East, it is getting hotter, and now the sand storms going around. And in Malaysia, is raining without fail almost on daily. So the climate is very good. But one thing is common, all of us facing the same, as if we all locked down. And this gives the opportunity to get connected through the virtual connection. And this is something great opportunity and contribution of the technology that it can still bring us together. As Brother Faizi mentioned to me that he was my student. Now when I see his face, I can recognize him. As a professor, you know, every semester we have a next group of students. So, and this is something which is very strange to remember everybody by name. But Alhamdulillah, it was good to have him on the virtual network. And as you know, that I was in IIUM, International Islamic University, Malaysia, in different capacities, professors, dean, and other dean to another institute, Islamic Banking and Finance. And after 60 years of my tenure being as a professor over there, then I have to retire. The option was that I sit at home and just read and improve my knowledge. Another option is that I better be attached with some institutions so I can contribute. So Alhamdulillah, thanks to all of you. At this moment, I am, formally attached to the AACSB accredited college called College of Business and Economics, which is located in Qasim, Buraidah, which is part of the Qasim University, as a professor there. And Alhamdulillah, I'm happy to be part of that faculty there. There are many students as well over there, and they are doing good job. And Alhamdulillah, I am happy either over there that I can spend in the Harman. So today's topic basically is part of my research. I have been doing it. There are a few books, some of you might have seen, some of you can download from my own ResearchGate, etc. So when we talk about leadership, the leadership is something which is a very common term and being frequently used by different people differently. There could be many ways to look at it, but when we talk about leadership, immediately the mindset today is that it goes to political leadership, as if only the leader is required in the political setup and organization, which is partly true. But leadership could be in any field. It could be in the social organization. It could be in the economic and corporate organization. It could be into even religious organization. It could be a knowledge leadership. So the leadership is actually everywhere. What is important that we, being a Muslim, we may draw the lesson from the Islamic resources, which is Quran and Sunnah. So I would rather like to make use of some of the slides here to discuss the topic. And let me see that, share the screen here. I wish the slide comes out. Okay.
Have you shared the screen, Professor?
I want to share the screen. Can you please allow me?
Yeah, please. Yes, 1 second. Shahjahan Bhai, can you please allow the screen?
I can go without a screen, but better to have, because there are certain slides that can help us. Can I?
Please go ahead, sir.
Okay, here is showing that the organizer have disabled the
Still showing the same?
I think now looks like okay. Okay, I got it now. Okay, good. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, we are in, Professor. You can start the slides. We can see it.
Okay. Okay. Is the slide is loaded? Not yet.
No, no, sir, it's not. It's not loaded yet.
Just second. Just second. Yeah, now it's coming up. Is that okay now? Can you see the screen?
Yeah, we can. If you can just make it full screen because
Okay.
we'll have issues.
Now, okay, is it all right?
Yes. Sir. Yeah, this is perfect. All right. Okay.
Okay, good. Okay, so if you look at it, the couple of words there, basically the leading depends on two C's. Before I go to really Islamic perspectives, so it's good to have some background understanding that there's a lot of research being done in the leadership, especially in the corporate world. So the theories which are belonging to sort of from the Western world. So their major focus of any leadership goes on C1 and C2. The C1 actually is called competencies. So competencies are basically the skills. Skills means it could be the communication skills, which are basically interpersonal skills. It could be a problem solving skills. It could be any kind of skills that is needed. And without skills, we cannot demonstrate the knowledge and understanding and problem solving. Number two, if you got the skill, but character wise, if the leader is bankrupt, which is related basically to the morals, the morality. So what is important for a successful leader, that these two C must work together. They should coexist. It will bring the competencies and characters together for the leader to emerge as a leading personality. And what will happen eventually, if these two are together, then the followers would have a trust in the leadership. If the trust comes, then the leader would have the very powerful personality and influences to the followers' behavior. Now, what happens? Sometimes we have one C, but the second one either missing altogether or is very poor. So if the person is character-wise very good, God-fearing, and there is no compromise on his ethics, but he or she, whatever, is lacking the knowledge that is required to do certain jobs. So situation here arises that yes, you are a good person, but unfortunately, you cannot solve the people problem. Why? And this actually
I think there's a problem with your audio, sir. Professor Khaliq? Problem with your audio. Your audio is not clear, sir.
Yeah. So
Still not clear. Still it is cracking. The voice is cracking, sir. I think some internet issues, sir. Just let us wait for some time. Internet issues, I think.
I guess is internet issue, yes.
Yeah, now it's perfect. Now it's coming.
Good. So the idea is that they have the character, but they do not learn the skills which are required by the leader. And it's unfortunate to share with you that today our many ulama and scholars, they are personal life is they are full of taqwa, they are full of moral values, but the problem arises because they don't have the exposure for competencies and training have not been given to them, so they have a difficulties. So, and on the other side, there are people who are graduating from top class training and schools. They have the very good skills and they have learned how to solve the problems and how to demonstrate the competencies. But when it comes to the morality, then they fail there. So for a successful leader, what's important that they should not be missing either of the two C's. It's unfortunate if you listen to our sermons, our ulama, they will emphasize on the second part, which is good, no doubt about it. But they are missing the point that even the prophetic model, I think without fail, I can dare to tell that prophets, many of them got a very distinguished competencies, despite the fact that they have the revealed knowledge, they have been guided through the wahi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but they actually were the people who have the skills. For example, somebody was telling me the other day that Dawood alayhi salatu wassalam, he was actually a smith, and then he can work on the iron to make it zira, which he used to sell. Isa alayhi salatu wassalam, and that's why today his followers, most of them, they are very good in the medical profession, and Allah has given him the skills. He will just say kum bi iznillah, and the people will stand. And similarly, you go to Nuh alayhi salatu wassalam, he was a shipbuilder. He can't build the ship when the need will arise without knowing the skill. So this is the difficulties that I face sometimes. But if you got the skills, morally you are bankrupt, spiritually you are having a deficit, then problem arises. So these are the two important things to look at. If these two work together, then people would have a trust in you. Once you have a trust, then it will make the leader very powerful and he will be influencing the behavior of the people. So what happens is when he or she has the influence on the people, then the power comes into the play. Now, the power, as people say, that absolute power corrupts people absolutely. So if too much power without the responsibilities, again make the life difficult. So we should have a proper check and balance. So when the power is being used, it goes to two directions: use it or abuse it. If they want to use it purposely for me, my family, my children, my tribe, then it is becoming called politics. When they use this power to solve the people problem and sharing the people what you call problematic situations, like today we got facing the problem of COVID. Every human is suffering, but if someone with the knowledge and have the competency can elevate the problem of the humanity. So for that purpose, there is a necessity that either power be used or it can be abused. Use if myself, I, my family, my children, my tribe, then this is called politics. But if it is for we, us, humanity at large to solve, then this is called benevolent leadership. And most of the prophets, basically they belong to the second category. So if we go for that, leading from Islamic perspective, that's where it comes into it. I have read the literature. A lot of literature indicates that today most of the leaders, researches are being conducted to solve the business and corporate problems. And there is a full of theories, plenty of the books written on that. So what do? Basically, they only talk about two things. And there are two indicators. One is the indicator of the output, outcome and production efficiency. Another is managing the relationship. So there are a lot of theories there which measures the performance of the leader based on these two indicators. But lately, after the Enron problems in United States and many parts of the world, big corporate sectors started failing, then there was a big issue of morality, that they can compromise, and eventually the top business schools in the West, such as IMD, Harvard in US, INSEAD in the France, they come up that there is something missing. And that's where they found that there is something called spirituality. So now the third element have been introduced, and a lot of research is being conducted even today, which is saying that there is a need for having some spiritualities to be conducted and research to be undertaken. So this has given a good opportunity for religious values to contribute and come forward to find out new models of leadership and theories. And the role of the leadership here from Islamic perspectives basically contributes a lot when we look the spiritual part of it into our mechanism. So Islamically speaking, the leadership in Islam is a trust and amana. That's what people sometimes forget, the fact that leadership is given and it is an amana to you. It is a psychological contract between a leader and his followers, and he will try his best to guide. There are three words which I have differentiated with the different color: guide them, to protect them, and these are two from external threat and external challenges. If someone wants to misguide you, the leader should stand and guide them in the right direction. If there is something threat in terms of his property, his life, etc., the leader should stand to protect them. And if there is some disagreement, there is a conflict among the members of the followers, and leader is supposed to preside to make justice, so he or she should make a justice and fair judgment. So these are the three words which are very important if we are looking leadership for that purpose. I would like to bring you something, and frankly speaking, Brother Faizi has really rightly put this. I have been talking it. Quran has used the word shepherd. According to Islam, every person is the shepherd and occupies a position of leadership. And this is the related, many scholars have still not been able to go into behind this word. But I heard one scholar, and it has been written that this has been in reference to the leadership of the prophets And Prophet here means the time of the Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. Because the Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, as we know him, he comes into the two lineage. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, he got the Hajra and Sarah. So those who are from Sarah, they have gone to Bani Israel, who are Jews today. And those who are from the other side, they have gone to the Arab and then Muslim, and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was in that lineage. So Yaqub and Ismail. The nickname for Yaqub alayhi salam was Israel. So the Israelis, who are Jews by all definitions, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually elevated them because of being children of the Prophet and gave them the responsibility and gave this amana. What happened was that this tribe basically come from the what you call it, shepherd, because they were living into the area which is I think is not difficult to understand from the Middle East perspectives. From the desert, they were staying into it, they were looking after their herds, they were looking after their sheep, their goats, etc. They were unknown family, nobody knows them. So Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam is one of the children of the Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam. And we all know that what transpired when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made ilham to his father that Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam would be the next prophet. And those brothers who were from the other mother, they did not like Yusuf because the father used to love him. He is being given idea that the future of his would be the Yusuf. So they wanted to eliminate him. But his brother Bunyamin, who was from the same mother, so the two lineage started from there, and these people, they wanted to eliminate Yusuf alayhi salam. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a different plan for the Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. And we know that what has happened to Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. So Yusuf alayhi salam, after going all these trials and turbulence and testing, and Allah developed all qualities. During this, sometimes we actually do fail to understand that when we are passed through certain tests, then we start crying foul. But that is basically from Allah for all of us to develop certain quality among the leaders, among the people, among the followers. So this test came, and Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam has passed all those tests. Eventually, he was made the leader in the Misr. After all those conspiracies, theories has been made public. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewarded Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam to become leader of the civilization in the Egypt. And Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam was the only first among this Bani Israel who was brought from the village and the remote and countryside and provide the leadership to the humanity. Okay. So this is where the background come from, the shepherd. And we know from that day, Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, the future generation of the Bani Israel actually emerged to be the leader of the world because Allah has been guiding them. Allah gave them amana, which was a trust, not to mislead, not to deceive, not to cheat the people. And then they guided through the revelations from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But as we know already, if you look on the other side of the shepherd, shepherd could be big cheat as well. Maybe many of you would have heard it before, that one shepherd, he came to the village, and then in the night he started making a lot of noise. Oh, the wolf has come and attacked my goats. Then the village people went to protect him because of his call. Then he was laughing. He said, oh no, I thought that you guys will be cheated. So people feel very dismay and they feel betrayal. And then Again, he did the second time. People went, some, not all, because some of them, they say, well, he will cheat again, so they didn't go. But this time again, still there was some amount of trust. People went there, and then he did again the same problems. Then people lost the trust in that, that shepherd, and eventually, third time, real wolf came. When the real wolf came, this guy is calling everybody to come and help and to listen to him. Nobody wants to respond to him because they have heard that this guy cannot be trusted anymore. So when the leader betrays the people, the betrayal comes, then the power will lose and nobody will listen to him. So this is something very important. And historically speaking, these Jews, whenever Allah has given them the responsibility and amana, and they really take care of this amana very carefully, Allah made them leader, and Allah made them to lead the world, which they have been doing historically. But time and again, when they have lost this spiritual touch, they have lost the taqwa, they have lost the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they made the fun, and they thought it is a predestined for them. That's why the Quran says, the Jews say we are chosen people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has no children. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks for different qualities. And eventually we know what happened, that when it happened time and again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decided to take this amana from the Bani Israel and give to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was from the different lineage of Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam. Since then, the Islam become the path of the truth, and Muslims have the amana to provide the spiritual leadership to the world. And that's where it comes the Islamic perspective. The next of the slides, I think I will run through fast. So what the Muslim followers are supposed to do? Muslim followers have also the responsibility. Number one, they must appoint a leader during a trip. So Hadith says that whenever you are making a journey and you are more than one, make sure you have one of you leader. Similarly, praying in congregation is rewarded many times more than praying alone. And when we are praying in congregation in Salatul Jama'ah, then we must have a leader to lead a prayer, which is Imam. And also we are guided to choose, at least whenever we have group activities, we must have a leader. And now this is the Hadith which reflects upon the leadership, and the references, this is from the Surah Zukhruf 43, ayah number 32. Is it they who would portion out the mercy of your Lord? It is we who portion out between them their livelihood in the life of this world, and we raise some of them above others in ranks, so that some may command the work from others. But the mercy of your Lord is better than the wealth which they would like to collect and amass it. Now this is the rawaya which I just shared previously. So the idea is, either we have the leader whom we trust, and the leader has the quality, skills, and he does not betray his subjects. So based on that, the question arises, the styles of the leaders. Now leaders have a different personality, different styles. So in that case, leader Islamically could be either a guardian leader, or it could be the leader who could help us in protecting the people and God consciousness. So the word Sayyidul Qawm Khadimuhum. According to Islam, the two primary roles of a leader are those of servant leader or guardian leader. Now, this guardian leader, which is to protect his community against tyranny and oppression. Bear in mind that whenever the followers and the humanity, especially Muslims, being oppressed, subject to tyranny, then the leader must emerge and come to guide them, to stand as their guardian, that, okay, I'm here to guard the interests of the mankind. And this should be through the God consciousness and taqwa, not for something promoting injustice, rather to stand for justice. If that kind of leadership style, then they are called guardian leader. But today, actually, this is not much in place because the world has moved into a different environment, different societies today. Today, what is more important is the first type, Sayyidul Qawmi Khadimuhum. The leader is a servant. And I have read a lot of theories, a lot of literature. It's unfortunate that the researches done by Muslim scholars are quite lacking in this area. My latest reading was that this type of leadership style is much researched in the Catholic school of thoughts, which is basically emerging from the Scandinavian countries. And there is much literature available which is talking about this servant leadership. The servant leadership, the difference is that the word servant is first, leader afterwards. And this is something which is quite nowadays common among the Catholic school of thoughts, is not among the other religious group. I'm talking about knowledge and research. I'm not talking about practice. So in many, many countries, you can see the leaders who are appointed and given the opportunity, they feel themselves as a servant of their people. And by the way, if we go among comparative religion, the Islamic values and Muslims' values today is quite close to the values which are being advocated and practiced by the Catholic school of thought. Among the Christians also, there are Anglicans, there are Orthodox Christians, there are Protestants, there are many types of Christians. And of course, among them, the Catholics are one of the strongest. And their values are quite close to the Muslim values. So I am not surprised that the research, if we have an access, better to read and have it. But by right, this should be the Muslims' ideal, that all the Muslim leaders, whether political, religious, social, cultural, knowledge-wise, academic, they should feel themselves. They should feel themselves and they should humble themselves as if they are servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, I think I got 3 or 4 more slides before I come to face. See, where does this spirituality comes in? As I mentioned earlier, leadership in Islam is rooted in belief and willingness and submission to the Creator, which is God, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it centers on serving the interests of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Muslims considered to be a Khalifatullah fil ard. They are the people who are Allah's messenger and vicegerent on the earth. So this should be the role that Muslims leaders should adopt if they want to close to the Prophet and prophets and the spiritual developments. Bear in mind that it doesn't come out of thin air. It needs to be worked out. It has to be made, the tarbiyah of the leader. Training has to be done. So the moral character will reflect by increasingly strong belief in the God as he progresses through the 4 stages of the spiritual development. So our ulama can talk more and more in detail in these 4 areas. It begins with the basic fundamental belief in the Tawheed, which is actually the Islam as a religion. But we got the followers of the Islam today about 1.68 to 1.7 billion Muslims worldwide. So they are Muslims. But are they mu'min as well? That's the big questions. We got no shortage of the Muslims. Today there are billions in the world. But how many of these Muslims qualify to be called mu'min, iman? And iman is a quality, which is a spiritual quality of believing into unseen. That's why the Rukun Islam, we all know 5, but the Rukun of the Iman, there are 6. And most of these Rukun and elements are basically unseen. Amantu billahi wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi wa rusulihi. I'm believing in Allah. We don't see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We believe in the Prophet. We don't see the prophets. Even our own Prophet, we have not seen him. What reaches to us in the form of the hadith, his aqwal, his qawl. But personally, after the Sahaba, nobody have seen the Prophet. So also unseen. Wa kitabi, all those revelations, malaika, the life hereafter, all these are the mughibat, the things which are hidden. So if those things are in our life, then we are not only Muslim, we are also mu'min. And then the higher degree of spirituality basically comes with the taqwa. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promises that whosoever achieves the taqwa, muttaqoon, he or she need not to bother about his basic necessities. Allah has promised it, and Allah will provide the sustenance for the muttaqeen. But to maintain, to earn and maintain the life of taqwa is not easy anyway. I personally practice more fatwa rather than taqwa, because the world around us is full of challenges, is not easy, but is a great quality. I will recommend whosoever can go for achieving the taqwa, is better to go for it, because then this assures the success in this world as well as in the life hereafter. And the highest degree of the spirituality basically is ihsan, which is, we have heard it, excellence, and not excellence only in this world, also excellence in spiritual and being close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So all these 4 terms, Islam, Iman, Taqwa, and Ihsan, I have explained it in the following slides. What is the Islam? Islam means the achievement of peace with God, within oneself and with the creation of the God through willing submission to Him. And now there is some explanation from Ali ibn Abu Talib radiallahu ta'ala anhu. I don't want to take much time on each of them. I briefly have explained to you. So this is Islam. What about Iman? Iman is a faith in God. Iman implies belief in the oneness of God and prophethood. A leader with a strong Iman will consider himself and his possessions as belonging to Allah. He will bow his ego, ideas, his passions, and thinking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Iman also implies belief in the life hereafter. Now this is the big issue today. A lot of leaders and people, they just talk about this temporary life. And for that, they need to be having materialistic mindset to make themselves very rich, economic leadership, or through economic means, they would like to achieve the positions, and through positions, they would like to use the power to make the end with the means. So all these are interconnected issues there. But they forget one thing. One is not only accountable in this world, here is the accountability beyond this world. And believe me, I am professor of management teaching leadership. Unfortunately, many books I read, this element is missing. No book on management and leadership ever touches the accountability in the life hereafter. So this will be a contribution from the Islamic perspective, that you being a Muslim, you believe in the life hereafter, you are accountable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You may escape from this world, but Malaika, they are taking note of every deeds, hidden or openly. And before Allah, you would be asked to explain all your behavior that you have done it. So if a leader who got the Iman will ever remember the life hereafter and accountability and standing before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this will be very important aspects for any Muslim leader to think beyond the life hereafter. Now comes taqwa. Taqwa is all encompassing inner consciousness of the duty towards Allah and awareness of one's accountability towards Him. So this is something which we have to look into it. If I want to go and start taking up the stories from the followers of the Islam, the companions of the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Sahaba, Tabai, Taba Tabai, and all of them, it will be never ending. But you can read if you want. There is a one article which together me, Dr. Nail, Prof. Muhammad Suleiman, we have written, which has been published. You can look it, talking about the impact of the taqwa as a corporate citizenship behavior. The people who are working in corporation, the citizens of the corporate entities, how much taqwa can contribute into their productivity and their being more active in terms of contributing for the well-being of the organization and progress. So the role of taqwa comes into it. And finally, we got the quality of the ihsan. Ihsan is the love of God. This love of God motivates individual Muslims to work towards the attaining of the God pleasure. So this is the ihsan. The quality of the ihsan is never ending. So I wanted to share this couple of slides with all of you to discuss about the literature behind any such thing. Now we can go back to video, and then we could have face-to-face discussion. Perhaps we can exit from the screen now.
Yes, sir. You can do that. Jazakallahu khair. Jazakallahu khair. If I speak for everyone, for such an elucidating session, clearing and providing detailed insights about leadership with Islamic perspective. And I'm sure it has motivated each one of us listeners to strive towards becoming leaders with this amazing mindset, inshallah. So we'll proceed with the questions, inshallah. So I'll just update the attendees who are attending this webinar that you have two methods of asking the question. One is the QA section, and next is raising your hand, and we will allow you to speak. So, Professor, with your permission, can I start with the QA session?
Yeah, please. Just go straightforward questions. I will try my best. If I have the answer, I will try to share. If not, I will refer back to some of the literatures. You may look at it. Go ahead, please.
Sure. And I just request that attendees to be very brief in their question. Please do not detail your question so that others get the chance to speak. We start with Mr. Shamim Ahmed. I have allowed you to speak. You can unmute your mic, Mr. Shamim Ahmed.
Yes. Hello. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, Brother Shamim. I can hear you, but can't see you. Yeah, go ahead. No problem.
Okay, I'm really happy to see you, Professor Khaliq Ahmad Sahab, and I am really feeling happy to what you share as Islamic way, all things. And sir, my name is Shamim, and I'm working in Dubai as a software engineer. I have passed my BTech in computer science from Aligarh Muslim University.
Oh, Brother Shamim, okay, my alumnus. Go ahead.
Sir, actually, when I was in Aligarh during my student life, I served the all student, and for a student any cause, I famous the nickname of Shamim Hitler, and I was in Aligarh Muslim University campus. More people called me leader and dealer. Okay, you explain leadership quality. Okay, that's why I want to ask how can we differentiate leader, dealer, and activist? Because most of the people, even still I am serving the students, any cause, if a student having some problem, I try to solve that problem from here. itself. I'm in Dubai. So, sir, just I need to know about the differentiate between leader, dealer, and activist. And before, sir, one more thing, sir. I am really sorry to taking the time, sir. My one of the cousin sister, she is doing the PhD in law in from Aligarh Muslim University. She want to attend any seminar from Malaysia and any other country. Can you please guide me what is the procedure for that?
Okay, I got your question. Sorry for interrupting you. Number one, now you are pulling my leg into nomenclature problems. Actually, nomenclature, we can call any name you want to do. If you talk social activist, is a social leadership in a way. If you call dealership, it's more talking about commercial terms. How do you deal in terms of negotiating and trying to have the best deal out of it, a win-win situation. So all these are the nomenclature problems. Okay, in terms of the sisters you are talking about, there is a group I will share maybe with the Faizi or even with the organizers. There's a group, we call it WIME in Malaysia, World Association of the Islamic Management. This is one of my seniors.
Can you, sir, spell out
WAIM.
Okay, sir.
So this group, this group is called themselves WIME, World Association of the Islamic Management. And many of us, including myself, we have included ourselves in the membership, in the group. So lot of programs they are organizing, seminars, webinars. Even I understand every year they are organizing one conference and they have the experts coming from all over the places. And they have branched out
great.
To the many countries. They have the representative. When I was in Saudi, I am not very sure whether Dr. Mohamed Zaid Ansari, who's Professor Mohamed Zaid Ansari, is also your alumnus. He's a graduate from ASU.
Yes, sir. Yes, correct.
So Dr. Zaid is also representing the Saudi side. I think there is also someone representing from the Turkey, from the Tanzania, Zambia, from the, I think maybe there would be someone from Dubai, I guess, Pakistan, Malaysia, Indonesia. So there are representatives in each region under this. So you might get through them and get connected. Hopefully you will get a lot of opportunity.
Sir, actually, sorry to interrupt you, sir. WAIM is something website, or I can just Google and I can get all information?
There is a website. There is a website.
Okay. www.waim.anything or what I have to
just put it .my.
Mr. Shamim Ahmed, you can Google WAIM and you will get the details.
Okay, thank you, sir. Nice talk to you, and I am really happy today to see you, sir.
Which faculty, Shamim, did you graduate from AMU?
Computer science from engineering college, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, please go ahead, sir. You want to ask something? What do you want to something?
Anyone else, please? I have taken the opportunity to speak. I would rather like to respond.
All right.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
I can see the name emerging, Mohamed Salahuddin.
Mr. Mohamed Salahuddin, you can please ask your question.
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Salahuddin. I think you all know about it.
By the way, Salahuddin get cut.
Sorry.
I by accidentally.
Okay. Go, Salahuddin.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Now I'm online. I think you can hear me.
Yeah, I can.
I'm from Dammam, and it was a wonderful session. I compliment you for that. Thank you so much. I have two questions. I often see that there is a misconception about politics among the masses, among the people, and especially from our community. When we define, I think the definition of politics, according to me, is actions which affect a large group of people or state or a nation. Now, when we say social and differentiate it from politics, social means, again, it's a term to define relative interactions between sections of people. So anything which is social, any action which is social, should also be political. I think, in my opinion, I don't differentiate between politics and social. So how apt is it that, we nowadays talk of social differently from politics?
Okay, I think, brother, I I do partially agree with you, because wherever there is an organizational life, whether it is social organization, religious organization, political organization, commercial organization, there is always a power structure. So in the power structure, when there is a power structure, politics is a part of it. Now the question is the context, which context you are talking about. Today, when we talk, perhaps you got misunderstood that one, I don't mean to underestimate politics. What I said, the politics actually is sometimes become like a group of the politicians. And then these politicians, all of them are not same. Some of them are really very great politicians. Some of them are spoiled politicians. Some of them make politics as a business. Why? Because through the power, they can get the business interests served. So by no means I'm talking that politicians are not required. What is important, these politicians should have a taqwa, should have a iman, should have a God-fearing, and politics and power cannot be separated. What is important is there are 4 ways actually to look at it, and 2 of them considered to be a rational approach of solving the people problem, and 2 considered to be not so rational. The rational that people say is bargaining and persuasion, where are something which is not rational, but it solves the problem, and politics belongs to that category. So in that case, it's unfortunate today the politics become victim of the politicians' behavior, unfortunately. But politics, I do agree, as I mentioned to you partially, is everywhere. We cannot escape from the politics. But politics is basically to use the power. The power structure is very complicated. In every society, there are different power structures. And for that, I would rather like you to read the power structure in any social group, in any society, what works in the West, because they are very individualistic societies, doesn't work in the East. I would rather love to share some slides which talks about how the culture shapes the power structure in certain societies. So there are studies which has been done which talks about the variables that differentiate the society. And politics, social, even the society have a gender. You will be surprised. There are feminine states. Philippines is one of the known countries in the world which is feminine states. Women power matters there. So whether you are masculine society, which most of the Arab countries are, or you are feminine society, it all depends. So for understanding a proper context of the politics, I would rather like you to better have a deep understanding of the power structure of any society. If we fail to understand the power structure, we will fail in the rest of our activities. Thank you.
MashaAllah. Thank you so much. Can I go to my next question, please?
I think that one I don't control. Better go to the admin.
Well, there are others as well. Many questions pending. If you don't mind, I can allow others.
Sure. Okay. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Thank you for understanding, Mr. Salahuddin. I will take it on to Mr. I can see the name as Kans. Kans, I have allowed you to speak.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Is it Khans of the subcontinent or Khans of the Germany?
No, it's a company name. My name is Amir.
Okay, Amir. Yeah. Walaikum salam. Because I get confused once. I met a German. He said, I'm Khan. I was surprised to see the Khan are basically from subcontinent Pakistan. How come you become Khan in Germany? Then he said, no, there is a tribe in Germany called Khans. So it's not H, only K. Sorry. Go ahead.
So, of course, our role model would be our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. But nowadays, like for our children to become a visionary leader, to whom you should think that we have to follow, like as a mentor or as a visionary leader in our community, to make our children to become a visionary leaders by following them.
And the first question is, you know, that socialization process begins from the family first. have you heard about the socialization process for personality development? If you have, then I can just refer. Otherwise, it needs some explanation. Are you aware of the socialization process?
Please,
Hello,
please
brother.
give a brief overview.
Okay, actually, in every human and every person's development, personality development begins from the childhood until the end. So the first thing, the first school for any child basically is the family that the child born in. Up to 7 years of age, 6 years of age, please excuse me. Usually they learn from their family members, and mother and father, they are actually the role models. And once they get out of the family environment, they mix up with the society and the peer groups, which are outside your house, and they are the one who are the friends, then relatives who are close in contact, your neighborhood. So if the values of those friends and peers are same like your own family members, your parents and your brothers and father, then those values get reinforced into the person. But if it contrasts, your family always teach your children not to speak lie, and now that's what they heard, and outside they interact, and the neighbor, all they speak the lies, the children get confused, and then there is always give and take and compromises that happens between the values that your parents have taught you, then what your neighborhood and your peers. Then the children goes to the schools. The school is one of the elements and factors that contributes to the personality development. What's the mission of the school? What's the mission of the college and institution? That contributes. And finally, the mass media, that every one of us get exposed to it. We have no choice, but we believe what we listen and keep on listening. So these are the socialization process. Now, question arises, who should be the model? So the model will keep on changing from time to time at your life cycle. But being a Muslim, as a part of the Iman, part of being a religious, we adherent of the religion Islam, of course, Allah and Rasul are always our first reference. So Prophet has set model and prophetic models which are available. We can go to the Seerah, and the Seerah of the Prophet actually is full of instances. Prophet as a family member, Prophet as a leader of his companion, the Prophet as a commander-in-chief in the battlefield, Prophet as a God-fearing person and as a ibadah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in Mashra, in Muamalat, in all these areas, we can have the example of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And being Prophet a male, he has his family. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha used to ask the question relevant to the female problems. And many of the female companions of the Rasulullah, they used to ask things from Prophet which the women are facing today. So they are also the source of reference for that. So I guess it will be lengthy answer, but briefly, the role model will keep on changing from time to time. But for religious adherent and being a believer in Islam, in fact, the Prophet is a role model for all of us. Does it answer your concern?
I think he's offline already, so I'm not able to see him on this thing.
I saw a recording going on. Maybe you can ask the organizer to share with you, that will have
Sure.
my explanation, inshallah.
And recording is on as well, sir.
Okay,
Sir,
thank
just needed the full form of WAIM because Mr. Samim is trying to find it. He's not able to. If you can just tell me the full form, I'll type it right away.
Okay. World, W for world.
Yes.
A for association.
Okay.
I for Islam.
Islamic. Okay.
Islamic.
Okay.
And M for management. Maybe you can put .com my, YM.my, it will come. If not, I will search and will share with the Shah Jahan later on.
Sure. And even people asking just a general question is like contact details of yourself. So you can just mention in the chat later on, sir.
I didn't
I
get
will
your
go to the
question.
next question. Yeah, I'll go to the next question now. This is from, I'll merge two questions from Mr. Mohamed Irfan and Sister Sobia Iram. This is more like talking about, that Professor Muslims were leading in science and technology in Islamic golden era under Abbasid Khalifa. But we are not doing that good today. What do we do to get back on track? And secondly, Sister Sobia is asking in the same manner, like nowadays the leaders are not doing justice among followers. So it's again like the same, what is the reason? What is the Islamic teachings about these two things?
The first question talking about the historical perspectives, which is more civilizational studies, because the values are the core and fundamental things that enrich any civilization. So perhaps she may have to go back and read that what made the Abbasid, Banu Umayyad, and later on the Ottoman, what you call Ottomanli history, what made them to be the world leader, and what we really have lost in the process is a long historical debate. Partly people say that, well, all the Muslim societies after the First World War, they collapsed because of the collapse of the Ottoman Empire. So all they are gone into sort of like a nation-state theory. So all the nation-state theories have really divided all the Muslims. And today, most of the Muslim leaders, they become nationalist rather than really the Islamic leaders. And of course, the nation-state theory is one of the fundamental flaw that have destroyed the Muslim civilizations today. So maybe you look at it. The second question by the sister was about technocracy. Can you repeat the second question?
Yeah, sure, sir. I'll repeat it. I'll repeat the exact words which she has put in. Sister Sobia is asking, nowadays leaders are not doing justice among the followers. It's not about the political leaders, but in other fields as well. They encourage and praise only those whom they like. What are the Islamic teachings about it?
Okay, very good question. And actually, this is a lot more to go to the theories of the justice. What is justice first place? Is it a distributive justice? Is it a equality? It is the what? So justice got many, many interpretations, and quite many of them are Islamic, I would say. I was reading the motivation theory by Adam Stacey, which is the equity theory actually in the motivation. And I saw that it's more meritorious. It's talking about and there's no board for me to work out to details. If some of you are aware about the fairness that happened and the judgment made by the Ali radiallahu ta'ala during time of the Ali karramallahu wajhu. So it was quite surprising, and that was based on justice. But from our point of view, it's very injustice. So today people think that justice is only equality. Not necessarily. Yes, fairness, yes, but equality 100% being based on justice, not necessarily. So there is issues to look at justice. What rights theory to the justice? Certain theories we can reject because totally anti-Islamic, like equalitarian theory, which is called equilibrium. Equalitarian actually is called like the end justifies the means. So that is based justice on that, which is not actually Islamic in a way. Right theory, whose rights? Individual rights or the group rights? And of course, there are many other theories. So the issue here is our concept for justice sometimes also get polluted with a number of things. Then a lot of things become hearsay. We hear people, then we think, wow, it is really very unfair. That's why the Luqmanul Hakim says when somebody comes and claims that X has taken out my eyes, one eye, and I need the justice. So he advised, don't ever just take the face value. Better go and look for the another option, another what you call side of the story. who knows? This guy is the one who first started it, and he is the one who took both the eyes of the other side. So please don't jump to the conclusion based on some limited experiences. I cannot answer on behalf of other person. It is very contextual. Unless I know the whole context, then I can give my opinion whether it was a fair view or it was a not fair view. But justice is the most difficult thing on the earth, I would say.
Okay, we'll take up the next question from Mr. Monabba Abdul Rahman. You're already allowed to speak. Mr. Abdul Rahman, you can please go ahead and unmute your mic. Okay, I think he's we'll go to the next participant. Mr. Abdul Rashid. Abdul Rashid, I have allowed you to speak. Please unmute your mic. Mr. Abdul Rashid, AKM.
Yeah.
Abdul Rashid, I can't hear you. Yes, I can. Yes, I can hear you now. Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My suggestion is, why can't we develop a course according to Quran and Sunnah and our Khalifa Rashidin, to develop a leadership, not leadership only, a common course. We should be taught to all, not for only Muslims, but for all religion people.
Actually, it's not something which is new, brother Abdul Rashid. There are courses. If you have heard about IIIT, in International Institute of Islamic Thought, which is based actually in USA, and there are many who are conducting this kind of training. So I would say that it's not that it doesn't exist. There are many courses. What you need to do, maybe you have to search it, but there is always never sufficient due to the wide presence of the community members globally. So if you want to make tailor-made to certain specific country and region is possible, because a lot of training is very difficult to do virtually. It needs a lot of hands-on, and for that you need to have face-to-face session. Modules can be developed, books are written, even my own books are available on my ResearchGate, the leadership and also the strategic management. And then my first ever book, which is on high demand, developed by the Prentice Hall, etc. One by John Wiley. So all those materials are there. Even I have put the modules there, that 14 weeks of programs. So I think there was one lady, she had been asked by the Azhar to develop a course on the management, Islamic leadership and management. So somehow she managed to get my reference, and she said the books is not available, so please can you. So I asked my son, he posted the book to her, and I understand she's using, and then she asked me question bank, she asked me about the testing materials, PowerPoint slides, chapter wise, everything I provided to her. So what I want to just make it a short answer, that yes, there are courses which have been developed, the modules have been there, but training actually needs hands-on. So virtually it could be a form of lecture, but you cannot test then, because you need to have a face-to-face session, give some exercise, give the feedback, get the participation. So that will be basically more effective. Lecture alone is not enough for developing the leadership.
Okay, we'll go to the next question, sir.
Yeah, go ahead. I can hear. I got another 10 minutes before Azan. Yes.
Yeah, the next question is, I'll take it from Sister Asma, and it's not a question, it's basically they're asking for some stories of prophets and Sahaba and Taqwa, if you can provide a link which you follow. Apart from that, they are requesting if you can give the downloadable copy of the slides you just showed, if you can provide it.
Okay, give me, okay, what you do, I guess, send me email, I will send this to you.
No issues, sir. We will take it and we'll ask them to send the emails and on the WhatsApp group, and we can send it to them back again on that.
Okay,
Right,
inshallah.
the next
No
question, I'm allowing Mr. Salim Altaf. Please go ahead, Mr. Salim Altaf, if you can hear me.
Yes, I do. Assalamu alaikum, Professor Saab. It was really, wonderful session and really enjoyed your word of wisdom. And I really appreciate the organizer to conduct this kind of highly valuable session. My question here is, being a shepherd, there are a lot of leadership qualities one can obtain. This is my understanding. Recently, I have seen some tweet in the social media commenting about a person can lead a people of over 1 billion and he was selling a tea and people are laughing at him. But what about the messengers who was a shepherd? What we should say about them? So actually this comment really hurted me. I just wanted to know, take from you, what would you respond to this kind of analogy?
Oh, well, actually, the word in the Quranic term is the word used shepherd. The shepherd is the one who controls the flocks that they follow to him blindly. And the shepherd actually is the term which I got real idea when I narrated to you that why this word shepherd has been used. So the background knowledge behind it, quite simplistic answer is that most of the prophets have been asked to do the job of shepherd. Why? Because to discipline the goats, the sheep, which is very fragile animal, you need certain qualities to develop. One of them is the patience. You have to be patient because these are the ones which are very indisciplined animals and creatures. You would be surprised, you can train the cat, you can train the dog, you can train the horse. But to train the sheep, to train the goat is the most difficult and challenging because this type of animal is the one which is just without any discipline. So the problem arises not necessarily that the follower is being disciplined. The leader get disciplined because of being put into a difficult kind of followers and different kind of social setup. So most of the prophets, they need a patience. And for that purpose, they have been asked to look after the goat. They have been asked to look after this. So it develops certain kind of qualities. That's why the people say, people in Makkah, they got a different characteristics. Why? Because most of them, they ride the horses, and horses are the one which are known to be egoistic and tough and difficult. So people over there, they are a bit rude. But people in Medina, they are very humble. Why? Because they do not subscribe those environment which people from Makkah have been. They are farmers and they are mounting on the back of the camels and etc. etc. So they got different characteristics. Similarly, people in different parts of the world, if you go to Japan, now you can see how the disciplined Japanese are. To my surprise, all the bureaucratic theories that I have read it, never see live. Unless until I visited Tokyo 2-3 times, then I found how the Japanese are disciplined. So the question here is that why the shepherd? There are many interpretations. And the one I just told you is the general interpretation. But some scholars, they have got deeper into it. And they found the word shepherd has been due to the spirituality dimension, which I spoke just now. It was because of the family of the shepherd. The Bani Israel, basically, they are shepherd by their background. They were never rulers. They were never wealthy and corporate leaders. They were never people. They never have an opportunity to rule the world. They never know governance. They never know anything. They are just people from villages. So they come from the background of the shepherd family, and due to that, the Quran has used that in reference to Bani Israel. So that is the another interpretation, and very scholarly and very deep rooted into it. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to say that a shepherd can rule the world provided he or she has the spiritual and spiritual guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the fate and the taqdeer of the Bani Israel changed from the time of the Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. And he was the first who bring them from the villages, from the valley of the mountains, from the desert into a big city of Cairo. And from there, their fate has changed and they become the leader of the globe. And then they become custodian of the kitab. They become the custodian of the... So again, it depends. You might refer also, because I'm not a scholar of Islamic worldview or a scholar of Usuluddin, but maybe some ulama can help you to understand the real background of this shepherd. I'm sorry, Brother Salim, I guess that's what I can answer to your query.
Yeah, excellent answer. Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much.
Okay, Professor Saab, just needed to know how much time do we have, because we are just poured in with so many questions. I can't tell you. This is the first time, many questions actually. So you tell me how much time do we have.
I think, okay, here now in Malaysia is 7 o'clock and 7:18 or 20 is Maghrib Azan. I can go still another 10 minutes, no problem.
All right. So
if it is a very straightforward question, I can answer very straightforward.
Yeah. Immediately I'll ask you some, merge some questions which are there online. Someone is asking, like Mr. Sharaf is asking about, how do we select leaders, like democratic nominations and recommendations or inherited? How do we select? And one question from Mr. Eko Noor Tahiyo, he's asking, could you explain me, Professor, what is the difference between leadership and management?
Okay, the second one is straightforward.
Yes.
All the managers are not necessarily leaders, but all the leaders, sorry, the other way around. All the leaders are not necessarily managers, but all the managers are leaders. The only difference is a formal leader or informal leader. I think if he is asking from that angle, maybe he has read some books on difference between leader and manager. The first question was regarding the, can you repeat please? I didn't have the pen here.
First question was about how do we nominate a leader, sir? How do we,
good. Actually, very interesting question and very controversial as well, because if you go during the time of the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because after Rasulullah only the reference are the Khulafai Rashidin, and again that is still a debatable, because some of you who are in Iran, who are into other communities, the Shia school of thought, they don't accept the Khilafah first place. They call Imamiyah. They have 12 Imam, and to them, Khulafai Rashidun is something which is a corrupted concept and adopted by Sunni school of thought. So I don't want to go into debate, but for a Sunni Muslim, we have all agreed that there are Khulafai Rashidun and 4 of them. Some groups say a small amount of time was also enjoyed by the Imam Mawiyah rahmatullah radiallahu ta'ala anhu. But anyway, the 4, no disputes. These Khulafai Rashidin, after Prophet Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu, Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and Usman radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And 4 of them have a 4 different styles and 4 different way of being selected. So the question is, you're talking about selection, you're talking about election. What you see today is more election and is more like perceptual distortions. Controlling the people perception, you can become a leader. So the issue here is, there are many ways, and some of them could be Islamic, no problem with that. Like nomination of the Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu as a descendant of the Prophet, as a first Khalifa. We know the process, how it had happened. And people still do not agree and dispute it, but they say, well, because Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has given the opportunity for Abu Bakr to lead the Salat during his lifetime. So the best after the Prophet is the Abu Bakr. And then how the Abu Bakr put the people together. So is another challenge, because after Prophet, the Medina people who were the local and the Muhajirin from Makkah, who were almost business community controlling the opportunities. So they have the different perceptions, and then they were divided. Bakr, the big challenge for Abu Bakr was to put all of them under the one roof. And if some of you happen to go to Medina, the portion which has been the place where Saada has been the place where the Sahaba, they put together to make bayat on the hands of the Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala. Now it become part of the Masjid al-Nabawi now. I have seen that place. So that was one challenge. After that, Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu, sort of like he dictated that who will be his successor. And Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu was put as his successor, you like it or not. Some people actually even challenge Abu Bakr, what you will answer to Allah. When you are putting the Umar, who is known to be very harsh, very hard, Abu Bakr say, I know Umar better than anybody else. So, and Prophet has already given, if there will be any Prophet after him, it will be the Umar, because he got those characteristics. And but his style of managing, oh, that will take another 1 hour. I can explain to you that how the Umar has succeeded and how he transformed the people of the Medina from equality to merit and meritorious society. So that's one. And after that, you know, that big divide was taking place and a lot of issues, and one person cannot be agreed upon by every section of the society. So the problem started. He said, okay, put a shura. So he appointed the 6 of them, and these 6, they should select the leader. And we know how the process was started. There's a lot of twist and there's a lot of details about it. I would not mind to share on another occasion. And then how it happened after the Usman of the Allah Ta'ala anhu, Ali was appointed as a Khalifa, because Ali was beloved son-in-law, and also he was the most liked person among the Medina people. But Ali was not businessman. Abu Usman of the Allah Ta'ala has the support of the business community from Makkah. So there is a lot of details. So all these selection, nomination, election, all these are the process. What is important is innamal a'malu binniyat. What do you do? So today the democratic process, actually, it could be Islamic and it could be un-Islamic. Depends how do you play fool without the system. Some people who are not liked by people, but they play fool. They twist the system to emerge as a leader. So this democratic setup, partially it could be Islamic and partially it could be un-Islamic. Depends on the circumstances. An unfortunate situation today is if it is not elected, then you got the family rules, we got the monarchy, we got all kind of things. Then we have a lot of issues. So the succession, now I'm coming to your answer, the succession in Islamic leadership is a big challenge, and the successors are not trained properly today to play the role of being a good leader. Does it answer?
Yeah, I think it was quite insightful, sir. Really, really great. Just to add on the leadership which you had talked about, Mr. Siraj had already, like, there's a part of it, like when you were talking about leadership and, you know, the management and leadership, he was talking about managing leadership today in today's time of coronavirus. Just to add on, how can you, you know, in today's time?
Okay, I think this is a yet to see literature on that, but everybody is now struggling, and this is something from Allah. There are a lot of plus points and negative side of this corona. I look positive. I am more trained as a positivist rather than negative. There are a lot of blessing in disguise, I tell you. One, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has saved the world from the brunt of the sun rays, because the ozone layer was getting thinner and thinner and thinner. And in North Pole, actually, it was almost exposed. So you see the melting of the iceberg, etc. It could prove disastrous. So from environmental point of view, all the source of pollution come to standstill. No factories working, no transportation, no plane are taking off, no vehicles are moving on the road. At standstill all of a sudden. That has provided healing process for the environment. So that's one part of it. Second part of it, a lot of things which angers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and attracts the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the earth. And I was surprised to see how come this has happened. All the prostitution centers are closed. All those kind of vulgar things that is happening in the West and other parts of the world has come to full stop. Now I was one friend of mine joking that there is countries like Malaysia was one of them. Somebody put a request to the government, I'm unemployed, so I need the unemployment allowances. Why you are employed? He said, I used to be burglar. I used to break in the house and then I cheat the I stole the people property and that was my source of income. Now everybody is at home. I can't make the business. So you'll be surprised. So all the thief and all this prostitution, all kind of social clubs, which are all un-Islamic, no power could stop them today. But alhamdulillah, because of this, all those kind of things have become the memory anymore. So this is the plus point of it. But of course, there is a hardship people are having, job are gone, economic downturn and everything is happening. So, well, this is the painful process that is going through the COVID. Sorry, brother. I wait for the further literature to come. Maybe some competent doctors would be able to answer your question.
Inshallah, you yourself will do it, sir. I'm sure about it, inshallah. Sir, talking about further, the people are like, there's a general question asking list of recommended books on leadership and management, sir. If you can provide a list, possibly.
Okay, I will try. I'll send the email you send me. I will try to give some. But actually, there's nowadays a lot. So, but you click it. You click it. You will. Actually, I will be surprised. Today, I got a message from one of my friends, and he gave already the 2 articles which has appeared only today in the newspaper. One for the, and then he was talking about what you call some leadership articles which has been published, and to my surprise that wow, already coming the lots of book there, and many people are already doing the research on that. So I think there is no more shortage of the books, etc. You can look at it, and I would be happier to share maybe if I manage to get the some of the emails later.
Yeah, if you can, you can forward it to us and we can put it on the WhatsApp group, sir, the list later on.
Okay.
Because we require the list which you are following, sir, so that we can also benefit from it.
Sure. Actually, there are a few books already. Even my one book on Islamic leadership has been there, and one article was there. So it could be. Inshallah, I will try. I'm trying to search this article today. If I could get, I will share with.
You can do that, sir. Next question by Mr. Hashir Zubairi. I have allowed you to speak. Mr. Hashir Zubairi, please unmute your mic if you can listen to me. Mr. Hashir
yes,
Zubairi.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yes, I'm a principal of a school, and I would like some of my team members are also listening to this. I would just like if you could speak some words specifically about academic leadership, academic leaders, especially in schools, both towards our juniors and towards our young minds, our students.
That's actually, you are my beloved colleague in academia, and today's academia is also not easier at what used to be earlier. And I have been, I would rather say not very, what words I can use, but you can say I have almost like 20 years of being in academic administration. So it's quite difficult scenario sometimes when you want to go in academic administration, means being a dean, being the head of the department, being a principal, being the vice chancellor. So that is academic administration. And quite often I found these people academically, they are very weak. Means they don't do the research, they are not very great teacher, they are not very great, I mean, intellectuals in a way that they have a lot of contribution. So these two together to be good academic in terms of your research, your knowledge, your teaching, and you're publishing, and at the same time to be a good academic administrator, sometimes very difficult, because here is a lot of trade-offs, I would say. But in my life, alhamdulillah, I try to maintain at least my academic achievements in terms of my writing, my publications, my teaching. So I would like to remain number one. At the same time, I would also like to be a successful dean, successful head of the institution, successful for that. Both are different challenges. So yeah, but alhamdulillah, good part of it that I have a good team with me, and they were all given the good support. And I tell you, you cannot be successful academic administrator if you do not have your team spirit and you do not have a very reliable and supportive staff. My simple experience I can share with you. Number one, that whoever my support staff, I mean my secretary, my administrator, my other colleagues, I have full trust of them. And it is not easy, it takes time. Why? Because I told them, nobody would be able to touch you as long as I am leading you, and my chest would be the first. So no third person from higher authorities would be able to hold your neck, that why did you do this? It will be me first. They will go on my dead body. So they really have a trust that anything happens, the boss is there to stand. Number one. Unlike the today's, many people, when it comes to achievement, they will take the credit. But when it comes some mistakes, they will pass it to the subordinates, which is not good behavior to me. Second thing, you must be innovative to solve the problems. And I am surprised that how come my parents choose my name Khaliq. I have been very creative in my many ways of doing the academic services. So I always come up with the new way of solving the problem. So innovation, distribution theory better would be of your help. Third thing, don't warm the chair. Many people, when they become the administrator, they do not want to vacate the position. I always have a system of 3 stages. One stage, first phase, I don't disturb the system. I just try to listen. I keep my ears and eyes open. I don't disturb, no change from the previous administration. But within that 1 year, I can see where the improvement is needed. The second phase, I will go to improve, and those people who are not performing in a nice way, I will tell them, thank you very much, better do something else. And in the third round, I will go for the full force of improvement. And after third round, I will also relieve myself. I don't want to remain, because if I remain there, I will be rotting the chair. So this is my experience from being an administrator. But at the same time, I have been also, alhamdulillah, to the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I do publish, I do write, and alhamdulillah, I have a very bright academic future. Academic career. Future is no more, because I'm already retiree. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. I'll just merge 2 questions in the QA section and then try to give another question to our brother. I'll make it quick. So one, Mr. Mohamed Ansar is asking about, what about women leadership in Islamic perspective? Nowadays, women educated becoming lead in corporate sectors. So please give a brief perspective.
It's a very difficult to say, because many people are twisting this issue of gender in Islam. Unfortunately, that's not true, because where Islam recognizes the male leadership, it also recognizes the women leadership. Balqis, during time of the Sulaiman alayhi salam, was a very successful leader. So if you want to read, you better read her life. And she was ruling the Yemen of that time, and how the Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam managed. And after that, she embraced Islam and things like that. So there is an equal role of the women leadership. So of course, the style, even the male, 2 leaders are not same in terms of style. How can a woman leader can be equally same like the male? So there are differences, but gender is a highly researched area in the leadership. So to say there is no place for women leadership in Islam is equally wrong. But women, they do have limitations, because they are emotional beings, whereas the men considered to be rational being. So men, they dominate a lot more thinking ability, whereas the woman leadership is sometimes colored with the emotional being. But Some places you need the emotional. Today's research world is looking a lot more emotional intelligence rather than the IQ. So women fits there. So nothing wrong with that.
All
Does
right.
it on?
So, again, proceed, sir. Next question.
Perhaps maybe the last, because Azan is going to be called. Go ahead.
Last, okay. So I'll ask you the question, which is by Mr. Faisal Sheikh in Dubai.
Yes.
He's asking, in the context of changing the world, what are the 3 top characteristics as per you we would we should have as leaders to leave an impression on non-Muslims to change their thoughts about general community standing within the society?
Number one, they need to be what you call technology savvy. For future, the technology holds the future. Second, they need to be innovative and they need to find the new way of solving the problems. And third, try to educate non-Muslim followers about the real Islam. Don't hide your weaknesses behind and try to say that Islam is everything good, but Muslims are worse today. So please, to be frank and tell them, and there should be the trust coming into it. If the Muslim think that you are a fair and you are equally God-fearing and you are equally the human being, you can share. And sometimes the misunderstanding arises because we get ourselves biased. So if we get biased, then there is no solution for that. So where comes merit, he or she deserves, and they have a better qualification, they should deserve it. So these are the couple of things I would like to quickly share with you.
Yeah. So do we want to end the session, sir, or we can take one question from Mr. Mujib Rahman? He's on the top, raised his hand, if you allow me. Last question.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Mujib Rahman, you're allowed to speak. Mr. Mujib Rahman, please go ahead.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum assalam, Brother Mujib.
I'm from Dubai. One question is the most used, normally everybody is using Muslim and Mumin, okay? But I think the leader should be with a more good quality of Mukinun, that Mukin means or Yukinun. In Surah Al-Baqarah, Yukinun, they are described as Yukinun, means they are confident in it. So what you suggest that quality, it should be highlighted for all leaders. There should be yaqeen should be in their mind to take any good steps ahead.
Actually, the word, the yaqeen, which is a common for all this, without yaqeen and belief, none of those words will apply. Because Islam is because of your fundamental belief in Allah, and Tawheed is the fundamental. Same thing, Iman and Taqwa and Ihsan. So yaqeen is a fundamental thing. So the belief, what is the belief? The first thing for the belief is existence of something and the probability of chances of it to exist. And it cannot be 100%. If it is 1, the answer is wrong. If it is 99%, answer is correct. So how strong believer you are, that matters. Because the belief, the definition wise, is a matter of chance of being or not being, existing or not existing. So how many people today, they believe in the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You stronger believer could be the one who could have 99%. Believe in the existence of Allah, believe in the existence of the Malaika, believe in the existence of revelation, believe into that. But if someone got only 10% positive, 19% negative, then his belief is very poor, very poor, very poor. That will not drive his behavior. So the behavior, chances, that matters a lot. So first thing one should understand about the belief, yaqeen.
Yes, but normally leaders take not such decisions, with that yaqeen.
Oh, well, I cannot defend anybody at this moment. If you don't believe in something and you don't take the decision, then you don't deserve to be leader first place.
Inshallah.
Yes.
So I think we can proceed with the closure of the session, sir. If you with
Yes,
your
please, because I can hear the azan. Even though I can't go to masjid, I will still pray with my children.
Actually,
But
my
now
mobile
the
right now, sir. It is in my mobile right now.
yeah, so azan is called now. So please proceed. You can do closer. It's my pleasure and my perhaps the closing terms. Thank you very much for attendance and very lively session. And I have been looking at the participants. Alhamdulillah, very good numbers, almost crossing the 100. It fluctuates up and down. Some exit, some join. So it was really my pleasure to have evening today with all of you. And inshallah, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala permits, why not next time? But well, we have to wait for the time to become to normalcy. And let us pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make life easier for all of us. Tawfiq billah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah khair, Professor. Really appreciate from all of us. Really appreciate your insights. This was very enlightening, and I believe it has changed a lot of our perspectives towards leadership. Jazakallah khair.
Thank you, Brother Faizi. Your sound system is muted. But on behalf, I would like to say thank you to all of you. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
And to all brothers attending, we have made a note of your questions and we will try to answer it as soon as possible. We'll try to get in touch with Professor and we'll try to get your answers as well, inshallah ta'ala, and post it in the group.
Okay, Brother Faizi.
Right. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, inshallah. Keep in touch. I got your message. I go back.
I'll call you sometime. Jazakallah khair, doctor. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum. Can I exit now? Okay.
Yes, sir. Please, you can go ahead, sir. Thank you so much, sir.